Good morning. Today, in Principle of Management, we are going to study about organizing as a function of management. So, this is the second step after planning. Organizing is the second most important in management. Now, the learning outcome of this lesson will be it will be you will be able to explain the purpose of organization, describe the common organizational structure and advantages and disadvantages, identify the important factors for consideration in organization design, and describe current trends in organization and job designs. Okay, now what is organizing? Organizing in general sense means systematic arrangement of activities. However, organizing a process of a management essentially relates to subdivision and grouping of activities. So you need to, in organization, when we in a structure, in a formal structure, when we are talking about organizing, it means the activity which is related to, dividing and subdividing the work to other employees and other colleague members. Now organizing becomes necessary when two or more person work together to achieve one common goal. So when a player is playing alone, no, there is no need of organizing anything, because that person itself knows what to do, where to go, and how to do about it. But when you are having a collection of people working together for one goal, aiming towards one goal, you need to have some set of rules and organizational structure to uh, give them an idea what is their area of jurisdiction, what is the area of their working and authority. So that will give them more focus to focus into one particular thing rather than focusing in all the spheres. So that's why organizing is a important thing for a institution where many peoples and many players are working. So it is important to determine the role of each player for the team as a whole and attain the victory over the rival teams. Now, similarly, in one business, all activities are performed by owners himself, but when the owner employs someone to assist him, it has to determine the work to be done by the employees. Now, and give him a right to use the material and machinery and equipments as per its requirements. Now, what is the nature of organization? Now, the following are the important characteristics of organization. What are the characteristics or the nature, you can say? That is specialization and division of work. It has to be, the work has to be specialization specific, and division of work has to be there. So a doctor cannot do engineering work, and an engineer cannot do a doctor's surgery, right? So that's why every job, every work, division of work will have a specialization for that field. Okay, like in a line of production of, suppose, a food production, if you are going into, so there will be a specialist in food, who knows what combination of material will give out a good product, or what is the ratio that is needed in raw material ratio is needed. And a marketing person will know how to project that product, a finished good, what it is, and how the market is going to respond. The marketing person will know that. So a specialization in marketing will know how to market the product. A specialist in producing good food, like a chef, or a food production product producer, will know how to produce a certain product in with certain combination of materials. All right, so specialization and division of work, the entire philosophy of organization is centralized on the concept of specialization and division of work. Okay, it assessing the responsibility of each organizational component to specify individual or group, and therefore it becomes a specialization when a responsibility of a specific task is on designated to a specific field of person. Now orientation towards the goal has to be given, so every organization has to give orientation ki what is the objective and what are the purpose. Now organization is the function of employed to achieve employed to achieve the overall goal of the organization, the overall objective of the organization. It is basically to be taken care. So when you're organizing things, it is one of the step to attain the ultimate goal. Okay. Now, composition of individuals and groups. The individual forms a group, and groups forms organization. Okay, so individual are grouped into departments, and their work is coordinated and directed towards the organizational goal. Now the continuity is that on an organization, it is group of people that define relationship, which they work together and achieve to achieve a singular goal. The relationship does not come to end after the completion of the task, but it is a circular work of that keeps on repeating. Now, the purpose of organization, it helps to achieve organizational goal. Organization is employed to achieve the overall objective of the business or the institution. Organizational focus attention to individuals' objective towards the overall objective. Now, optimum use of the resources. The next purpose is to optimum use of resources. Then you have to perform a marginal function. The next purpose is to perform the marginal minimum function has to be attained by the organization. Then facilitate the growth and diversification of the organization has to be there. Then humane treatment of employees has to be established in an organization. So taking the first thing, that is to help achieve organization goal, an organization employs to achieve overall objective of business over the individual's objective. Okay, so if you have a personal objective of growing in your your career, apart from that, the organization is predetermined to achieve the uh, goal of the institution, right? Now the optimum use of resources, it makes that to make optimum use of resources such as men, material, money, machine, method, time, it has to be utilized in such a manner that it gives out the maximum benefit. It is necessary to design a organization properly, because work should be divided, and right people should be given the job. You cannot give job just haphazardly without taking up a the person is interested in doing what and is has a what kind of skill set. So you have to recognize the skill set for that particular job. Now to perform a marginal function, planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling cannot be implemented without the organization. Without a proper setup of organization, you cannot have a proper planning established. You cannot organize things properly. You cannot have a proper staff maintained into it. Then you cannot direct any of the activities to be followed up. And then you cannot have a quality and control over the activities that you do. So you have to have a controlling effect also. So for that, you have to establish, identify an entity, that under this entity we are grouped together particular goal. Now, it facilitates the growth and diversification. A good organization structure is essential for expanding business activities. Organization structure determines the input resource needed for expansion of a business activity. Similar to that of organization is essential for a product diversification, such as establishing a new product line. Okay, so then you have to have an humane treatment of the employees. You cannot expect your employees to work 24/7 for you, right? That person will have a personal agenda, will have a personal space and personal requirements that has to be fulfilled first to work for your organization. So in our lecture for motivation, right, remember where we have studied about self actualization. To attain self actualization, your basic needs has to be completed. Your basic needs has to be satisfied. Who had given this? Maslow has given this self actualization law of motivation, where you have your basic need of uh, eating, sleeping, security and belongingness has to be satisfied first to read the self actualization. Means you will reach a apex point where you will be completely dedicated towards your work. Okay, so you will only be motivated and directed towards the organizational goal when your basic needs are satisfied. Okay, so that's why humane treatment of employees are required. So employees should be paid well as per their jobs requirement. Then they should be given break time. They should be treated well during working hours. They should be, because you also have a psychological need also. So treatment of well treatment of your employees will satisfy the psychological need of motivation. So it is related to the need of motivation. So human treatment is very very much essential as it motivates the employees of your company. Now, the step in the process of organizing. What are the steps which we take up in the process of organizing? The process of organizing consists of the following steps. That is, number one, determining the activity to be performed, achieve the objective of the organization. First, you determine the activity that you have to take up. Okay, then you have to achieve the object. Then what you are going to do to achieve the objective, right? Then identify the major functions to be which the activity has to be related to, right? Then the grouping and subdivision of the activities within each function on the basis of similarity of relatedness has to be taken up, right? So then you have to establish relationship among the individual and the group. Okay, so individual and group people has to establish a relationship among them. Okay, then formal and informal organization. Okay, now there is two type of organization. One is informal organization and informal organization. So let's first talk about formal organization. Formal organization lays down authority, responsibility, and work relationship. When people work together, they develop a certain social informal relationship in the organization itself. Okay. Now, this social informal relationship constitute to the informal organization. So, in an organization, when you are working among so many people, you will tend to develop some social and informal relationship among your colleagues. So you some with some colleagues you may be very friendly, and you may have a very deep relationship, as deep as you may go to their homes and eat and celebrate and have similar cultural activities together, and also socially meeting up after the working hours. So that relationship can develop, that informal way of friendly relationship constitute to the informal organization. Now informal organization come into being out of the desire of people to associate with one another. So we know that human beings are social animal. So we need to socialize with each other, we need to associate with each other, we need to share our pets and peeves with each other. So that requires a informal organization. So an organization is very healthy to run if you have an informal setup amongst the peer colleagues, so that with a cordial and friendly activity you can make the organization function better and smooth. So people associated in the group to gossip, to exchange information and views, to share difficulties and happiness forms the informal organization consisting of these type of group of members. Now, these informal groups are formed on the basis of emotional attachment, and purpose is to satisfy the basic needs, psychological needs, has to be satisfied. So there is a need of, belongingness, friendly relationship. That is one of the Maslow's law of motivation. So in an informal organization also is a setup to satisfy one of the motivational factor. Okay. Now, members of informal organization elect someone or as their leaders and provide them the needed support. The informal leaders does not have any formal authority. Thus, his authority depends upon the combined support of group members. Okay. Now, this is a table which describes the formal organization and versus the informal organization. So, formal organization, it is created by the top management. Okay. In informal organization, it is not created by the top management. It arises out of a natural desire to for people to associate with one another. And in formal organization, it is created to get the jobs of an organization performed in a planned and systematic manner, whereas in an informal organization, it is performed to satisfy those needs of members which cannot be satisfied through formal organization. So, when you are loaded with work, you will not be motivated in working for it. You will be only motivated and satisfied to work for it once you have a cordial relationship with someone else. Supposingly you working in a department and the other department does not have a good cordial relationship and does not provide you with certain data, what will happen? That you will lose out the work zeal. You just saying that department is not working, so why should I bother to produce the data in time, right? So that will hamper the growth of the and hamper the functioning of the organization. So you need to have a good cordial relationship, develop a relationship with the fellow members to make the make the basic needs of satisfaction to motivate yourself to work for the organization. All right. Now, it is then in formal organization, it is managed by official appointments, like managers, and the structures of the various structures of the managers. Now, the informal group, it is because it is an informal group, are selected as per someone likes, uh, and their leader to take care of the interest of the members. So that in a group there will be someone, in an informal group there will be someone who is always knows everything and always know how to initiate a work. Okay. So that person becomes a leader, not out of electing somebody or posting somebody into that position, but by taking charge by itself, by self motivation and self attitude. The person may take charge on to himself. Okay. The managers of a formal organization have authorities. Okay. So the managers of the formal organization have certain authorities and jurisdiction to empower some duties and delegations, whereas the authority of the leader of the informal group depends upon the combined support of the group members. So it is a what do you call, elective way of working for that informal organization. That means whosoever may be taking initiative, but will also take views and ideas or support from the members of that group. Now, formal organization is a permanent and stable organization, whereas an informal organization is a temporary in nature. It changes its size and membership with time to time. Okay. Now, organizational structure, we will talk about organizational structure. So, what are the various organizational structure? Okay. Number one, bureaucratic structure. Number two, functional structure, divisional structure, and matrix structure. Bureaucratic structure is where, you have, there's a, bureaucrat sitting in a desk and doing the jobs, like, bureaucracy means, bureau means a desk, it is a desk based job. So bureaucratic structure maintains a strict hierarchy when it comes to people management. So there is a lot of red tapeism along with the bureaucratic structure. You have to follow a lot of a strict hierarchy in bureaucratic structure. There are three types of bureaucratic structure, that is pre-bureaucratic structure. Number two is bureaucratic structure, and post-bureaucratic structure. Pre-bureaucratic structure is this type of organization that lacks the standard observed at a, it lacks a standard because it is not up to a national or any other level, but it is of a more local level, it is of a more small scale startup, like startup companies, it is of a very small scale setup of bureaucracy. Then usually the structure is centralized, and the power of this bureaucratic structure is centralized. There's somebody who is the owner of the company, or the startup, it will be directing all the decisions, and there is only one key decision maker. Okay, this type of structure is quite helpful for a small organization due to the fact that the founder has the full control over the decision and operations. Okay. Now second is that bureaucratic structure, the structure have a certain degree of standardization. There is certain standardization which is maintained. When the organization grow complex and large, the bureaucratic structures are required for management. These structures are quite stable for organizations. Okay, now, this structured bureaucracy has a standard, like, let me give you an example of civil services. Civil services has very departments. Under each department there is a bureaucrat which is sitting there, like an IAS officer. An IAS officer will be a district collector at a district level, taking up his under under him there will be various departments, and reporting back to him that what are the functions and activities which is going on in his district. Okay. So the this structure has a certain standard, so you have to have maintain a certain standard that you will be given this level. So similarly in army also, like when you join army, you are join if you join army through NDA or IMA, you join army as a officer. If you join army as a recruiting process, then you join army as a soldier, where you have to take orders from the officers. And this is a bureaucratic status where officers are commanding their soldier mates to perform a particular job. Okay, so this is one standardized structure that is given. So for each standard you have to have a certain level of qualification also. Now, post bureaucratic structure, this is an organization that follows post bureaucratic structure. Still, it inherits a strict hierarchy. It is an inherited strict hierarchy. Like bureaucrat follows a strict hierarchy. Similarly, the post bureaucracy also has strict hierarchy, but opens to more modern ideas. Now this is a more it is a more flexible way of structure, whereas pre bureaucratic structure is more standardized and strict hierarchy based structure, where it does not allow new ways or adopt new techniques. It only follows a standard procedure, day in day and night. Okay, whereas a post bureaucratic structure is a hierarchy based structure. It is a strict hierarchy based structure, but is willing to adopt new methodologies and ideas to make the institution work smoother and function, to improve the quality. All right. Now, this is a bureaucratic structure. Like there's a CEO of a company, then you have vice president, president, then vice president in various departments of marketing, finance, manufacturing, human resources, and information technology. So this is a top level manager. Bureaucratic structure is basically dealing with top level management and the subordinates who are going to work under them. Okay. Now, functions of the structure. The organization is divided into segment based on the function. When a managing, while you are managing, there has to be a certain segment that is has to given certain functions to perform. The employees grouped together in similar task in same group and similar group in the same department. The similar department reporting the same will be of a same managers. Now there's a headquarter. Okay, there is a research and development department. There's a production department, marketing department, and accountancy department. They will all coordinate among each other. Okay, and also take up reports to submit it to the higher management. Now, what is the advantage and disadvantages of organization? Advantage changes of functional organization are: they use resources efficiently, they do not duplicate tasks, and they simplify training, that is the common group together for an economy of a scale. All right. Now, what is the disadvantage? The disadvantage of the function of a functional organization is that it poorly coordinates across the functions, I mean, across the various departments. It is responsible, responses time is very slow. So in an the functional organization, the response time is very slow. You will request the other department to give you a certain data. So the data, the department is dependent on other subordinates to give the reports, what where based on, suppose we are talking about census. Okay, we want a population data. So you have recruited few people. Suppose I want to have a population data of a particular area. I will have my manager or assistant to say and delegate few people to take a population data. So that manager will employ few more peoples to take the data. Now, while when I am demanding this data, what will happen is that the subordinate who are working under my the other authority, my assistant for example, that person will delegate each of them a particular location to take collect the data from. So there will be some candidates who will not be willing to go out into the field and take collect the data, hence it will not be compiled in time. When this is not the datas are not compiled in time, it will happen, what will happen, this the report going to the higher authority will take time. So it is an laborious process. The more people you allot, the more laborious the process of finishing of the job will be. Now, divisional structure. This type of organization, division function areas of organization on a division basis. Each division is equipped with its own resources. So like marketing division will have them equipments dealing with marketing. The production division will have equipments dealing with production, like raw materials and production line and machineries and everything. Okay. Similarly, a finance division will have to deal with the finance. What is the financial condition, which department has to be given which type of financial assistance, and where they have to give financial focus. These are the various divisional structures that are given, and they can be many basis in defining the divisions. So while you are dividing each division, what are the different structure, what do you call, factors that you are taking up, it can be varying from uh, you know uh, organization to organization and situation to situation. The division can be defined based on the geographical basis, product, services, or measurement. Geographical basis, like you will have a division in I have given you an example. I keep on giving you an example of McDonald's. McDonald's is a fast food joint, okay, and it has a chain all over the world. So when you are having a McDonald burger in India, it has a Indian division, so Indian headquarters, and having these headquarters will deal with the geographical location, so it is a geographically located in India. Similarly, you may have the same McDonald franchisee in some other country, and that country will have a country head, that geographical head and headquarters, and dealing the product as per that country. So I tell you that when we are coming into the market, we have to realize the temperament of the market and the consumers. So that is why we need to have a geographical based divisions. Then product based division, so a company can have a drug company like Himalayas can is not only producing drugs, but it is also producing other products like cosmetics. Okay, so Himalayas is a company, and it is not only producing one product, it is producing multiple products. So multiple product will have a multiple division. One division will have a one is a drug division, one is a cosmetic division, and there can be other or textile division can also be there from the branch of the Himalayas, the Himalaya group of drugs. Okay, so this is a product based division. Then you have service based division. So on the service based means what type of services you are receiving, right? That type of divisions are also part of divisional structures. Let's take an example. A company such as General Electricals, it can have microwave division, okay, turbine division, and many more other. And these divisions have their own market team, own finance team, and own production team. Okay, in that sense, each division can be considered as a micro company with a main organization head. Okay, now that's what happens in multinational companies. When multinational companies comes, they have small divisions of structures. Okay, now this is a chart which shows the divisional structure. Now, this is a global product structure. There's a CEO, product division, product X, product Y, and product Z. X, Y, Z can be drugs, cosmetics, and textile, for example. So, division product X, that is maybe drugs. Product drugs division will have its own research and development department. Will they will go into R&D process, how various drugs can have, what is a new drug combination that is required in the market. Then there will be marketing, that this drug is better than the other company's drug, why it is better. So that is a marketing strategy. There will be a division of marketing. And then there will be a division of finance which oversees all the functions of the sub divisional structures. Then you have a product Y. Suppose you are dealing with cosmetics. Again, this cosmetics, you will have research and development department, marketing department, and finance. Okay, so each of these will work function as a mini. If you see in the structure, you will see each of them have a mini structure of a company. Okay, now global geographic structure is like this. Like a CEO of a company, of a corporate, of a multinational company, will have a Pacific region, will have a South American region, European region, and North American region, supposedly. Or you will have a multinational companies coming to India, you will have Asia division, you will have European division, and you will have American division, again in North America and South American division. So each division will oversee different countries which is coming under the various countries they want to establish their business to. So each region will, like Asian region, if we take for example Asian region. So in Asia, you are having many countries. So what are the countries you have established your centers with, your departments with? So suppose in India, in China, uh, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, then Myanmar. These are the countries that this particular company has established its roots. Okay. Now each country will behave in a different manner because they are culturally diverse. Okay, their environment requirement is different. Their raw material and food source is different. So each of these geographical locations will uh, require a different research and marketing strategies and financial support. Now advantages and disadvantages of divisional structure. Now what is a advantage of a divisional structure? The advantage, it works well because they allow a team to focus on a singular product. Okay. Now having its own leader, the division will receive the required resources. Common cultural contribution contributes high moral and better knowledge of a division. Okay, now what are the disadvantage of it? The disadvantage is that competing division may cause political insist of in political uprising instead of a sound strategic thinking. Okay. Now division can carry or can bring compartmentalization. So you will be compartmentalized completely and will not associate with other division, so that may hamper, then which may lead to incomplete incompatibility of the companies with the owners and the working employees. Now this is a matrix structure. When it comes to matrix structure, the organization places of employee are based on functions and products. The matrix structure gives the best of the both functions and divisional structures. Okay. Now for example, CEO of a company has a functional managers under them, that is engineer, sales, uh, product design, research and development department, and manufacturing department. Now the product team will have there will be various product teams, like I have talked about various products. There will be a cosmetic, drug, textile, or a service product, for example, will be there. So the product A, dealing with supposingly drug, will have its own researchers, engineers, sale, marketing, production design, and research development and manufacturing. Now product A requires assistance from product B, like product B is dealing with the raw material, supposingly. Okay, if you are developing a cosmetics, for bottling up the cosmetics, the product B is the bottles, empty bottles. They are producing empty bottles, so they need product B to be in coordination with product A, right? So it can be interdependent also, so, and independent as well at the same time. Okay. Now, the principle of organizing, the purpose is to the all organization and each part of any undertaking should be the expression of a purpose, and either explicit or implies on. So, the purpose of an organization should be expressed and undertaken with their proper expressions. Now, authority and responsibility is there. The formal authority and responsibility must be coterminous and equal. So it has to be coexisting. The form of authority and responsibility, which should be coexistent and should be treated equally with respect. Now responsibility of supervision, the responsibility of higher authority for the act of its subordinates is absolutely responsibility of the uh, higher management. Like for example, I am the top managers. I delegate few employees under me, so I will be responsible of the well-being and supervision of that of the employees. So and then I will report back to my boss, supposingly. All right. So that responsibility and supervision has to be continuous and is a part of a principle of organizing. Now, scalar principle. What is the scalar principle here? There must be a clear line of formal authority running from top to the bottom of the organization. Now, the factors affecting the span of management. What are the factors which affect the span of management? That is the capacity of a manager, capacity of a subordinate, nature of work, degree of decentralization are one of the factors which which affects the management and control. Okay. Now, line and staff authority. What is the line and staff authority? Degree of planning, communication system, level of management, and physical location. So and the planning is effectively done particularly for standing plan procedure rule method given up by the line management is basically what it is coming from the hierarchy point of view, where you have to plan properly and implement as per the hierarchy which is there in the command. Now, line authority has the right to make decision and gives directives to employees. Okay, that are placed in under the chain of command. So there has to be a chain of command that is followed by the line authority. Now, the director who has the line authority, director being the topmost on the line authority, uh, directs the certain information or directives to the managers, and under him, and the manager direct the same to the employees working under him. Whereas in the staff authority, it involves the right to provide advice and assistance but cannot give a directive. So it usually happens, staff authority happens in the informal setup. Moreover, like your colleague can advise you certain things, you should go about, you should do certain things in this manner. Whereas it can come in the form of suggestion and advices. Whereas in line authority, there is no suggestions and direct, what you call, assistance, but it is more of a directives that you are supposed to do this, you are supposed to follow these guidelines. That is a directive, giving a affirmative direction to follow the orders. Okay. Now, line versus staff authority. What is the difference between the line versus staff authority? If you see here, executive directors are same. Okay. In line authority and staff authority, what you see is directors of human resource, director of operations, director of purchase, and director and other directors is under direct what association, and can, like human resource managers can give advice to the operation director of operation, that we have recruited these many people, why don't you utilize this person for that particular job, or then similarly, operation director can advise and take assistance from a director of purchasing. Okay. And will take advice or direction from purchasing. They're like, why don't you buy this product so that we can have a better outcome of our product line. Okay. Whereas in line authority, what happens is executive director directs directly to the operation director. Under him, there is a unit 1 and unit 2 managers, under which there are some employees, that is operation employees who are operating with the product, will directly follow the orders. It is a straight line. The line directives are straight line of downward movement of your orders. Whereas staff authority has more of a cross section of communication and directions. No, well, authority is is an inherent managerial position to give orders and expect the subordinate to obey. Whereas the responsibility is an obligation to perform an assigned activity. Well, and the power means it is an individual capacity to influence the decision. Okay. Now, centralization and decentralization. Centralization means it is a function of how much decision making authority is pushed down to lower the level in the organization. The more centralized the organization is, the higher is the level in which decisions are made. So higher decisions are made on a higher uh, uh, in a centralized manner of organizations, whereas decentralization refers to the pushing down of decision making authority to lower level of organization. Now, advantages of decentralization. Now, what are the advantages of decentralization? It increases moral and promotes interpersonal relationship. It encourages informality and democracy setup of management. Then facilitate local decision making by the managers and others. It develops managers by allowing them to manage. Increase flexibility, increase top managers to routine administration. Then freeing the managers from planning and policy development and system integration. Now, disadvantages of decentralization. What is the disadvantages? The individual, it is more of a individualized work. There will be and competitive action will start working on the work against the best interest of the organization will activate. It increase the cost, and more managers and large staffs are required in decentralization. Division managers may not be informed of the top manager and the problems. Okay. Now delegation. Okay, now delegation is when you delegate certain work and authority to a certain division or group of people. That is what are the various types of delegation. That is a general delegation, formal or informal delegation, written or oral delegation, and downward and sideward delegation. Delegation means the communication system or line of imparting the directives. Okay, like it can be a general directive or a specific directives. You have to, in general, like every day you must join the lectures on time, right? That is a general directive. Whereas a formal directive is like you have to have more of formal setup, like every day you know what time you are supposed to reach into the office, and that formal delegation is given in the form of a formal letter or written letter, or orally it can be orated by the higher authority. Downward and sidewards are the again the movement and the communication methods. The process of delegation is allocation of duties, delegation of authorities, assessment of responsibility, and creation of accountability. Okay. Then we have principle of uh, you know uh, principle of delegation. The delegation to confirm uh, uh, the desired objective responsibilities and delegatable responsibility should not be delegatable. All right, the authority must be match the duties as per their skill set. The unit of command has to be established and limit the authority to well define the workforce. Now difference here, it is given in delegation it is a process, and decentralization it is a end sort of delegation. Okay. Then in delegation it shows relationship between the supervisor and subordinate. Here it is the relationship between top management and the various departments. Then delegation, delegator exercise control over subordinates, and decentralization works as a control may be delegated to department heads. It's machinery of delegation is a technique of management. And whereas decentralization is philosophy of management. Okay. And the end, we to summarize it, organization needs to be structured in a best possible way to promote efficiency and effectiveness of the activities. Organizational design needs to be adapted with the factors that influence the effectiveness of the strategies. Organizational strategy influence the organization structure, as a strategy determines the type of duties that are undertaken by the employees. The organizational structure can also help explain the authority and the transfer of authority in organization. Furthermore, it will help in the designing of work and involve the organization. Now, mechanistic organization is usually found in the most of the suitable in a stable environment, whereas the organization structure is normal, more suitable in the environment that are suffering, or that is in a turbulence, that is in a trouble. Okay. Now, concluding this, I will request all of you to go to your LMS and attempt the quiz.